15th, 2016 to order. Can we have a roll call, please, Mr. Alexandrovich?
Mrs. Witkowski.
Here.
Mrs. Ghosh.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Mrs. Evans.
Here.
Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mrs. Larson.
Here.
And I am here.
Thank you. Has the meeting been properly posted, Dr. Pats?
Yes.
Thank you. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, I'm excited to present Mrs. Gail DeClark with a student video presentation.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
So this came about because I was emailing Dr. Pats back and forth about some of the awards we won recently, and he's like, you know, we really need to have you do a board update as to what's going on in the program because we've grown so much. This is my 15th year here. I'm on 2.
Yep. 8 seconds, it'll be ready.
One of those video things, right? So we thought, and we're gonna try to keep it nice and tight, but we do have a video. If you want to see it, you don't have to see it. I can send it to you via email as well if you'd like. It's the freshman orientation video, the freshman first day video that we did this year. So it's on video production. It's the home of, we're saying it's the home of the Saber Roar and more. Spent a lot of time on that. So just to, some of you are new to the board, so I want to make sure that you understand what the classes are. We offer 4 levels of video production classes, so kids can take it for up to 4 years. There's intro and advanced, and they go in this order, and then you can take what's called the Video Production Company 1 and 2. It's a stacked class, and it runs what we call the Saber Roar, which is our weekly newscast. I have a link here, and you can all go to YouTube on your own and find the Saber Roar channel and become a viewer of the Saber Roar channel if you want to see everything that we do. Every video that we put out and that the high school sees goes on here. Every Tuesday, we do this newscast. We call it News and Entertainment. We do it every week, and every Tuesday the entire school watches it during the resource period, or now their gold block period. So it gives you a little bit of what we do. We try to move the kids along. My goal of my classes is communication and collaboration, something kids will use forever. I know only a small percentage are actually going to go into video production, and only a small percentage should go into video production, but they will use these skills forever. Notice media literacy and digital filmmaking are also on there. That is what they all think they're in there to learn how to make films, which they are, but I'm really getting them there so they can communicate and collaborate, because that's what they'll use forever. So, as I've been taught recently by Mr. Cohen, that we have, and I say we because I teach it, but sometimes the teachers pick up my overload and teach some of the classes. I teach project-based, personalized, it's a spiraling curriculum. They get to revisit things over and over again over the 4 years and get better at them. And I really base it in real-world experience. Most of you know that my previous life, I worked in television. I came to teaching kind of through the back door, so that's what I bring in. And I do bring as much in as I can. So kind of what I like about the program is that I try to make as many opportunities outside the classroom as possible. So we're going to talk today about outside the classroom opportunities, things that we do, field trips, etc. Film festivals and other recognition, that's what brought us in the door today. And then some of the large-scale productions that we've done over the years, and each of these ladies are going to talk about that. And then coming through the door at the last minute will be Nathan, who will talk to you about how does this relate beyond high school, because he is a graduate and he's working right now. So first, I've got Julia Meyer, who's going to talk to you about outside the classroom.
Hi there, my name is Julia, and I am currently in my 4th year of the TV Tech series. Last year we went on the Hollywood field trip. It was almost 10 students. We went and we got to meet friends of Ms. DeClark. We got to go on a live set. But in addition to learning about the film industry, we learned about real life lessons. We learned about how to apply turning in your work on time to real life, doing your job on time. It was just more than learning about the industry. It was more learning about when you grow up, what are you going to do in your job, how are you going to be successful. And I think that this was probably the best field trip that I've ever been on. I learned more about myself in those few days than I think I would have learned in a classroom. It was a fantastic experience for me. And through this class, we also have gone on field trips to go see movies through the Milwaukee Film for Education program. We've gotten to hear firsthand from directors about how they have created their films. We've gotten to hear about how their brains work when they're creating this. All in all, the field trips that we've taken in this class have really expanded my horizons. They've really helped educate me and help me understand that this class is really teaching you more than you think it would. It's teaching you more beyond film. It's teaching you what you're going to do after high school. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Julia. So Chloe's going to talk to you about our large-scale productions because she was involved in one this year.
Hello. It was a great opportunity to work on the music video, so I took it. I'm very honored to be able to be a part of that. Not only for the freshmen, but for the whole school in general, everyone enjoyed the music video. I think the freshmen felt more connected to the school and more comforted while making the music video on the first day compared to just doing classroom things. I'll be honest, on the first day of my freshman year, it was kind of boring and I didn't feel as connected to the school as I think I would have with the music video. So I think it was a very fun experience for the freshmen and they got to feel more connected. So not only was it a fun day, but they got to get more knowledge about the different departments and about the teachers through the music video, and especially the video production classes we have and what they offer. It shows what we do, how we do it. It's not only the newscasts we do or the short films, etc. We do big scale productions like this or the lip dub we did 2 years ago. So I really did enjoy doing this because just to see everyone light up when they knew they were making a music video on the first day of school, that's super cool. So, and then all the enthusiasm while everyone was making this, especially teachers, was a really cool experience. Overall, I think this gave a real look into a production set itself in reality and how hard work, time, effort, organization are huge factors into making something strong and good, and I think this did turn out really good.
Thank you. So we have the link here. If you choose to afterwards, we can come back to this and see it, but it's an 8-minute video. I don't know how much time you guys have tonight. It involves the entire staff as well as all the freshmen. Do you want to do it now or do you want to come back to it?
Do it now.
Do it now? All right. You can see it. Really good. I just didn't know how, I didn't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah, yeah. I can't stop the.
That's so good. It's very good.
So it was, and I say this in all honesty, I could not do what I do. It takes a village to do that. It's, and I tell my kids this all the time, I said, when the teachers stop supporting us, or the district stops, we don't have a program. Those teachers are always willing to jump in and do something crazy for our next video, whatever it is. So now I'm going to introduce Trinity, who's going to talk to you about some of the awards we've won in the last year or two.
Hi, I'm Trinity. I'm a junior at the high school and a second-year student in the film program. So to extend our reach and get more feedback on our films, we enter many contests, festivals, and competitions where we have earned many awards and placed it. So the first is the Milwaukee Film Youth Show. So there are 16 films in this year's festival, 8 of which are Franklin's films. This year I was accepted into the program, and so far I have met with many other young filmmakers and older filmmakers in Milwaukee. I have been able to get advice for future films that I am working on, and I get to see and get inspired by other films that are shown in the festival. So we compete in local competitions, but we also compete in many regional and national competitions. So one of those is the Midwest Media Educators Association, which is schools mostly in the Chicago area, but they're expanding to most of the Midwest. Basically, the point we do this is we want to compete against other schools with similar talents and program sizes. In the past few years, we have received many awards listed here in this competition. So next is the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which is in the Chicago and Midwest region, and it is run by the creators of the Emmy Awards. So they have a high school challenge called the Crystal Pillar, and in the last 2 years, we have won 7 of these, and these are some places that we have and honorable mentions. We also have the Great Save, which is a very unique experience for the group. It was for a PSA called The Inconvenient Truth by Sam Pike and Griffin Anderson. We got to meet with Raleigh Fingers, and then we were also honored at the Brewers game, as you can see in the picture on the right. And then lastly, we have an All-American High School Film Festival, which is a national competition that takes films in all 50 states and over 40 countries. We have 5 films in it this year, which is only our first time entering the competition. And what's cool about this is they will premiere in New York and in Times Square.
Thank you. And just to give you a little bit about how this program extends beyond our high school, I asked Nathan to come because he tracked me down the other night and was super excited about what's going on in his life, so I figured I'd have him talking. He did win he was an honorable mention for the Crystal Pillar. The Crystal Pillar is kind of like, as they say, it's like the Emmy Awards for high school. We can't use the word Emmy. But when you get nominated, honorable mention, it's like being nominated for that Chicago region, and then Crystal Pillar when you win. And we've got a number of those, and we're getting an awards case so we can put them somewhere. So that'll be nice.
Hi, everybody. Good to see all these smiling faces. Glad you all reacted positively to that. Having been in her class, I know how much hard work actually goes into all of that. It's intense. I'm Nathan, and I go to UWM. I'm in the film program currently. And, you know, one night I was on my own, and I was just looking up editing jobs in Milwaukee, and there was an opening at Channel 12. And, you know, I thought I would roll my dice and see if I could show some of my stuff that I got from that class. And I came in for the interview, and they were all beyond impressed. Everyone told me that I was doing stuff that was better than some of the workers that they have had there for almost 20 years or more. And now I work there, and I'm the kid of the office. I'm the youngest hire they said that they've ever had. I'm 19 years old, and I just got in there because, you know, video production in high school. So, you know, this is definitely an incredible program, and I was very happy to be a part of it.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, Nathan. Yeah, he showed us stuff from the Saber Roar, so that was pretty exciting. Do you have questions at all? Because that's all we've got for you. Yep.
Okay, you're talking about this stuff. We entered 5 films, we entered 8, whatever. How do you enter? You just do it and they accept it, or do you have to go through some kind of
Well, it depends.
recognition
Each
first?
film festival and contest is different. Some are contests where they have a first, second, third place, and the kids will get, you know, an award of some kind, usually a plaque. The rest are film festivals, and you enter them, and we do it online. Generally, we fill out the paperwork that they need, and we upload it. The Vimeo, where you just saw the video playing is our Vimeo channel. I pay out of my budget so much to keep up this Vimeo channel, so anything that we're going to submit, we upload there, and then we send the link in, and that's how we. And so for the Milwaukee Film Youth Show, we've kind of dominated in the last couple of years. There's just not kind of an equal program to this in the Milwaukee area in terms of our size and what we can put out. So we've been very lucky to get a lot in there, and that's been one of our places where a lot of kids can get exposure. Some of the other ones, we send a number in, and then they may pick a handful of them to either show or to. And I can't remember how much I sent into that National Film Festival. I was surprised. I've been encouraged the last 2 years to apply for that All-American High School Film Festival. A friend of mine who's a professor at Columbia College in Chicago, she goes, your kids' work would get shown here if you do it, if you do good work. So we did it, and it's been exciting. So 4 of those are graduated seniors, and 1 is a current senior who did. And honestly, that's not even their best stuff. If I'm being honest, I mean, Tasha and Sam both have much better pieces coming so that they'll be able to enter next year. And each one is a time, like you have to have it within a year. So some things that we did last year will be entered in festivals this year just because of the time that it happens. Oh, that's why we did this. I almost forgot that. The reason we moved this to this date was originally the youth show is going to be on the weekend of the 26th of September. Well, they moved it back. The youth show is on October 2nd at 10 a.m. at the Oriental Theater in, on the east side of Milwaukee. So if any of you are interested in going, you go, show up, you buy a ticket, they're $10, and you'll see 8 of the 16 films, 8 of them will be Franklin films, and you'll get an idea of how we compare to some of the other film programs in the area. And it's really kind of fun to see it on that gigantic screen. Any other questions?
Those videos that got submitted, are they on the YouTube channel that you have?
Some, not on YouTube, a lot of them are on the Vimeo channel, and I have not opened that up to everybody yet. I may have to because it's the only way we're gonna be able to see the freshman video. It keeps getting flagged on YouTube, and I keep trying to dispute it, saying, you know what, there's 100 other versions of this Justin Timberlake song. The big one was UW Milwaukee last year did a huge Justin Timberlake version, this song, and then it got retweeted by Justin Timberlake. So it's still on YouTube, where ours got pulled off because of copyright violation. So the Vimeo channel is not open. If I had more time, if I had all the time in the world, I would be showing this more. I don't have. That's not. I wish.
Yeah.
I wish I had more time. But if I share this link with you, you'll all see the other stuff on the Vimeo channel.
Okay.
Thank you for all the student presentations. And Julia, have you heard from any of the students that the parents are excited about the freshman video?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, wait.
Chloe?
Chloe, sorry. Or Julia, or all of you. Have you? Sorry. Yeah. Have you heard from the parents that they're excited about these types of videos?
Oh, yeah, they're always super excited, and they're always proud to see what we do, and they're always up to see more, and it's really exciting to see.
They did. We weren't sure, I'm going to be honest, we weren't sure, and we went back and forth about whether we should make it public. We kind of thought, well, it'll be the freshman thing. High school students can be high school students. We all went there, so we know what it's like. So we weren't sure how they'd receive it, how the other classes would receive it, and so far, everybody's been really excited, and I keep getting emails saying the link went down again. Can you, put something else out there? So I've got the Vimeo channel working, so I'm going to send that out. But here's what I was scared. I'm going to tell you, that morning, I saw those freshmen sitting there like, deer in headlights, and I looked at Anita, I go, this could fail epically, like if we don't get them excited. But within a half hour, not even, we had that first group in there super excited. So each group kind of choreographed their own piece, and then we shot it and then cut it together. We had quite a system going. Chloe was with me. We were running, shooting stuff and running stuff back and forth to get it edited. Our goal was to try to get it edited and show it right away. It was impossible. So I just edited it overnight, and then we showed it the next day.
And then back to Julia. When you went to Hollywood, did you hear from anyone that's working out there that they started in a class like this?
Yeah, we did actually meet a couple of
Yeah, there's quite a few, because I had a smaller group, which was nice. What I did this time was invited those professionals to small lunches and dinners, so they actually got to sit for an hour or two and talk to people. And we were looking at the pictures today, and we were like, oh, that's a former student, that's a former student, that's a former student. I'm just gonna say this because I'm super proud. Now, this was not at this school, but one of my very first students is actually up for an Emmy this year for the James Corden show. She does the carpool karaoke. She's the producer of that, so, yeah, so I'm kind of excited to watch the Emmys. It'll be the first time I see one of my students up there, not colleagues, so that'll be really cool.
And I did mention to Dr. Pats that we have a National School Board Association convention, and they have this Magna Awards, and I don't know if you're going to speak to Gail about
Yeah, we'll
that.
start with Gail about her
That
role.
with your public service announcements and hearing from Nathan, and then all your awards, maybe this would be the perfect class to be up for an award for National School Board Association. But
awesome.
maybe we can look into that.
Yeah, well, thank you. Any other questions, or, sorry, I didn't mean to take up so much of your time, but when you said highlights, I'm like, oh my God, it's like picking your children, which one do you choose? So we did the best we could.
Thank you.
Nice job.
We're gonna dismiss ourselves?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks for coming.
Not that we don't find it terribly interesting.
Okay, item 4 on the agenda is community comment. Per board policy, we allow up to 15 minutes of community comment. I see there is no community comment. Item 5 is consent agenda. Would a board member like to remove item A from the consent agenda? Hearing no, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Nielsen, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Witkowski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Item 6 is approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Witkowski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nielsen. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Item 7, school board announcements. Any announcements tonight? Hearing none. School board calendar, item 8. The board retreat will be on Wednesday, September 21st at 6 o'clock, and the board and administrators or directors should meet at the high school office. Is that correct, Dr. Pats? Any questions on that? And you could dress casually? Okay.
6?
6 o'clock
At the high school office?
at the high school office. And it's a team building retreat. Okay. 8B, a regular board meeting on Wednesday, September 28th, here at the Education Community Center at 6 o'clock PM. And then a regular board meeting Wednesday, October 12th, here at the ECC at 6 o'clock PM. Item 9 are the board liaison reports. Do we have any liaison reports?
I did meet with Erin King at the middle school. That's my liaison school. The goal seems to be college and career ready. It was, before school started, I was amazed how quiet it was, but then all the kids show up, and it was really interesting to see them all carry around the little black bag for their computers. They all look uniform, kind of like they're all carrying the same thing. They look very light. There's not the big backpack that I remember kids coming in with. So, and I kind of hope to visit with her regularly. So it was a good experience.
Speaking of liaison reports, for community and governmental relations, do you have anything on the homecoming?
I know that the parade is the Wednesday, which is October 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever that date is.
3, 5, I think.
Let me just pull up the calendar here. Yes, you're correct. It's the 5th, and I'll check with Ms. Day there regarding the candy. I don't know, there won't be a theme yet, correct? There wouldn't be a theme till later? Look at high school, anybody at the high school?
They're
No?
still in the planning of that right now.
Still planning? I do know I won't be out of town, so I will have to ask somebody else to kind of help with that, so. But that is the date, though, October 5th, for the parade.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? All right, thank you. Item 10A, pupil services report, seclusion and restraint. Mrs. Preman had sent out the seclusion and restraint report to us by email, but I wanted to put it on for the board to have here in case we had any additional questions. Does the board have any other questions about that report? All right, hearing none, then thank you for the report. And we will move on to item 10B, the Board Self-Evaluation Ad Hoc Committee Report and Discussion. And, let's see, I'm just going to give a synopsis of the meeting quickly, and then we'll go through it with the board. The Board Self-Evaluation Ad Hoc Committee consists of myself, Mrs. Larson, and Mr. Lewis, and we met on September 7th to review Policy 8105 and evaluate and discuss our self-evaluation tool. The committee determined the following recommendation would be brought forward to the board, that Policy 8105 should currently go unchanged, but be considered in the future to be reviewed if it is agreed that directors will take part in the evaluation process. The current survey tool would change to a more open-ended format, possibly resembling that of the Oregon School Board Association, along with adding written portions and with questions tailored to the Franklin Public School District and our board duties. Questions and results would bring open discussion at the board meeting, self-evaluation review, leading to productive retreats and goal building. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, September 20th at 5:30 p.m. here at the ECC. And with that report, the committee will go into the individual parts of this. So we reviewed the policy, and when I was just mentioning about possibly adding the directors to the policy, we discussed that, help me out here, Jeff. We discussed that we felt as a committee that it might be beneficial for anonymously to have the directors give input of the same parts of the evaluation that we do. And I did talk to Dr. Patz about that, and did you agree you had no problem with that?
No, I don't.
As long as, so we wanted to ask the directors how they felt about that. And this would be anonymously telling us how you feel about how we're doing as a board.
Right. So, I mean, generally, to give you a bit more background, we discussed, the evaluation in its current format is not necessarily useful, and it basically creates more dead silence when we're reading just through answers than a tool that could be much more useful for us. So not only were we thinking about potentially simplifying what we would be rating ourselves on, but to increase the pool of feedback to feed it to each one of you, knowing that you work directly with one or multiple of us on a regular basis, in addition to being involved with the board meetings. You can provide input directly related to how we work as a board, topics that we haven't focused on but maybe should, or vice versa. I think that type of insight would be valuable for each one of us as a board collectively to receive that feedback, since you're involved so closely with our interactions and meetings. So that was one, and then two, I think generally if we look at the survey itself, the question really was, would we pose different questions to you than we would to ourselves? And I think we discussed that it probably would make the most sense to ask you the same questions, so we could then almost do an apple-to-apple comparison of what we think of ourselves or what other people think of us, or compile the results into one and kind of do an aggregate review of overall, we rate very poorly in this area, and that's consistent across everyone in this room, not just amongst the board or amongst the administrators. So I think generally the idea was, if okay with all of you, it would be fairly simple and straightforward to provide you the same feedback. You'd provide it anonymously, just like we would see our results anonymously. We wouldn't be able to tell that Janet wrote something or Nick wrote something. So that was the idea, and I think having your input would be valuable.
We can do that right after contract renewals. So you don't-
And as we are talking about the evaluation, we have an example of the Oregon School District, which is not Oregon, Wisconsin, that's, I don't even know if there is one, I thought there was, but this is Oregon, on the west coast, yeah. And I also put one at the board table today from Montgomery, I don't know what state this is from, which is also kind of what we were looking at. These, we looked at Oregon, and then this one here, this one on your table today is also sort of what we were talking about. These types of evaluations are more, instead of the survey monkey that we use, they're more open-ended. They have questions lumped at the top that we discussed that we could formulate more to our board and to our district. And then have an open-ended area where you could, like on this one on the table today, it says, give evidence supporting the criteria at the top, or we could have more of an essay question, totally different. But we really liked this type of format. Debbie or Jeff, do you have anything to input on this?
I'll just say, as we kind of talked about the key works of school boards and how we identified in our policy the areas in which that we would rate ourselves, we thought to replace the questions that are currently out there, where basically there's 5 or 6 questions under each heading, to ask basically one question per heading or 2 questions per heading, but include the factors that we would hope to align our actions to within each one of those categories. So, for example, if we look at key works of school boards, tonight's discussion, for example, might touch on vision. So we'd have some bullet points of how we align, and Oregon's actually gets to that model a bit more succinctly than this one from Maryland, Montgomery, Maryland. But it basically lays out our factors that we would consider a successful school board would establish a vision by meeting these 6 factors. Instead of each one of them being a question, we would rate ourselves based upon those factors as either proficient, insufficient, not applicable, or something, either a number rating scale, potentially open-ended questions of 3 areas which we feel like we could focus on in the future. For example, relating with government bodies, because I think that's one area that we've always discussed pretty consistently on, that we lack other government body involvement or something, So I think if we change up the questions, which was a major part of our discussion, because we didn't necessarily see value in the current questions, but if we change up the questions to kind of meet our expectations that we framed our discussions around key works of school board,
Or in our policy.
or in the policy
standards.
specifically, the standards, and at least identify those characteristics that align with those standards, I think it would at least make it a bit more beneficial for us, and a bit easier to rate. Would hopefully provide, with open-ended questions and smaller pool of questions, it would at least facilitate a bit more conversation around those characteristics that fall under each one of the pillars. So I think that was just the initial thinking of how we could formulate the survey. So the Oregon example was one that we discussed at the meeting. I think what Janet provided with this Montgomery example is another one that kind of meets that expectation of having a larger pillar with certain criteria that fall within, and then rate ourselves on that actual pillar rather than individual questions within. I think that was it in a nutshell, but it would be a bit more straightforward and hopefully spur a bit more discussion than reading the answers that we wrote in the survey in the first place, which isn't that beneficial.
So are you suggesting we have more of an open discussion going through this all together? Or we're still going to write down all of our answers and then go over it? Because if we're still going to write down all of our answers and go over it, if we do what we've always done, we're going to get what we always got.
Yeah, so I think, I'll just quickly, I think if we limited, for example, a question that says provide 2 or 3 areas that the board would need to work on in vision or in government relations, and you saw a list of what everyone wrote, obviously it would be anonymous, I think you'd be able to draw some conclusions with either similarities, or if we're all over the board, I think that at least would spur some conversation of where we should steer our vision or mission statement, or whatever we're gonna talk about in that instance. But I think in that instance, it would spur a heck of a lot more discussion than what we've had in the past. If, for example, it's an open essay question, I think we might, from what we've seen in the past, only 2 or 3 people have answered some of the comment sections in the older surveys. And what did we do? We kind of read through those answers and kind of explained why we wrote them. So I think, we don't necessarily want to get away from the point of making your evaluation clear, and you may have to go through and explain why you wrote something. But I also think going through, as Debbie pointed out, and discussing, that I clicked the wrong one here, or yeah, I didn't read that correctly. I don't necessarily know what that means, or why is this question in here? I think we had 4 or 5 of those
Right.
discussions
We're
every
trying to
single.
do away with that, of, someone saying, oh, that's not really why I answered that way. Oh, I get it now. We're trying to be more clear about that. And we also wanted to do away with people putting their initials by their comments. We just wanted to leave it open to a discussion, so no one felt like they had to explain themselves at any point.
But what we want is discussion, so that we could lead to forming goals at a retreat.
No, I get it. That's why I asked, would we go over this, like, this would be handed out today, and when we go through this as a group and discuss the points, openly, because you're right, otherwise we don't get a whole lot of discussion. That's what I was kind of driving at. So it sounds like, to me, you're on the right track.
So that's what we want to hear from each of the board members. If you think we're on the right track, then we would go to our next meeting and try to formulate some questions to bring back to you, or even have you send us some questions that we could put together and bring back to the next, next meeting or the meeting after that, and try to start formulating a board evaluation. So, Linda, Minoski, Tim?
Well, I thought, so we're gonna, there's a lot of them out there already. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? Or do you, or
Well, we want it to fit us.
fit us? You want to make it ours?
I think first, if you look at our policy, we've identified the core areas that we have identified to rate ourselves. And at this point, I think, in our last meeting at least, Debbie, Janet and I were in agreement that those areas are still areas that we should be rating ourselves against, which are different than what Oregon is rating themselves against, or what Montgomery, Maryland is rating themselves against. But I think we can leverage format. We could probably leverage some of the bullet points as they seem pretty consistent against either what's in KeyWorks, the school board, or what's in our policy to begin with. Or at least leverage some of the questions from the previous survey as points that we would want to rate ourselves against. But I think we kind of want to, I don't want to say start from scratch, but start from scratch, because the old survey really didn't, I guess, meet the needs of actually providing a meaningful discussion or evaluation.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with having something that'll give us a little better feedback, a little more discussion, that's fine, and bringing in the director's opinions, I'm on board with that too.
How do you feel, Minoski?
I'm fine with that, too.
Okay.
But we won't do individual ratings. We're going away with no ratings. We're not going to fill out individually we're not going to score ourselves individually.
So we actually discussed that. We discussed whether you rate yourself and then rate the board, or rate yourself and rate other board members. But as we've kind of discussed, I think the policy views that the evaluation should be of the board as a whole and not as individuals. Although some districts disagree with that, and some do involve personal evaluations and board evaluations. But I think the way that we've at least discussed the creation of a new survey, it would at least get to the point of discussing what works well and what doesn't work well, and as we're representative of a board as a whole and not individuals, I think that it makes the most sense. But that was a point of discussion that we had for almost 30 minutes was, should we involve personal evaluations, anonymous, but evaluations of yourself and evaluations of others, and share that. But it was actually I think the best idea to come out of that discussion was maybe we use that as a discussion point in a retreat format, in order to critique yourself and allow yourself to be critiqued by others, and kind of go around a table. We were discussing kind of an interesting format, but
That'd be a fun retreat.
Oh, Jeff wanted to start out real,
Yeah.
real
well,
rough.
it's it just as it's one of those things where you give yourself a critique, one positive and one negative, but then you go around the room and solicit a positive and a negative, it's a consider and a continue, so it's not necessarily a negative. But it's something where everyone has to be open, everyone has to sit around the table, and everyone has to provide a continue and consider about themselves. So it's a growth model for continuous improvement, obviously, but it's an interesting, more retreat-focused versus an evaluation that, a serious on-paper evaluation that we would have.
But Linda, we didn't do that anyway. Are you talking about this kind of?
Well, I'm just saying we're not doing that then.
No.
That was,
Well, no, we're
Quick,
still
you
gonna, we're still talking about rating, but in a.
As a
you would-
group.
You would, but you would have a group of questions, and you,
We would limit the number of questions, say 5 questions, and then we would have room for open-ended answers to that, and we would hope that would spur some discussion during a board meeting, instead of, when we go over the board self-evaluation, all too often, Mrs. Evans will read the heading of what we're evaluating ourselves on, and there's crickets. We all sit here, and we go, okay, all right, and then someone will maybe jump in and go, oh, that's not what I meant. So we're trying to avoid all of that. We're trying to spur discussion and hopefully get to the point where we're getting some goals out of our discussion, and then also maybe get some ideas for a board retreat that will be valuable to us as a board. And that's what Jeff was talking about. Jeff had suggested to Janet and I, let's, go around the room and give one critique of ourselves
It was
or
more of
something
like on
like
the
that.
paper form, do we want to
Right.
anonymously rate, if we say engagement in meetings, do I want to rate my engagement and then go around and say, Linda, this is your engagement, Meenakshi, this is your engagement, Tim, this is your engagement? Well, no, it's not necessarily productive for a board vision, right? So, to Debbie's point, that's where we kind of steered, okay, well, let's truly focus on our board actions. But if we focus on our board actions, getting our feedback isn't a complete picture. That's where the administration comes in, because that feedback, I think, in my opinion, might be more valuable than me telling you what I think we're doing well, since I think we're doing well. So it's a bit slighted. So
The uniqueness of the school board is that none of us have any powers individually. It's only as a collective.
Right.
So I personally do not think there'd be huge benefit in getting into the positive and the
Right,
negatives
right.
on an individual level. We're judged and we collaborate as a group, period. And so I think that's where the evaluation should be.
Right.
As a group. Now, soliciting outside opinion, all for that. But internally and externally, to break it down to the individual level, I don't think is necessary or possibly healthy. I think we're all going to be able to take a look at if there's a point where we get some feedback where the board isn't doing maybe what we think or others think it could do. First place anyone will look is in the mirror and see what can be changed. So.
But that's not to say that that wouldn't spur a discussion, and that maybe if we did our self-evaluation in a different manner, we might start feeling more comfortable about doing something like that, or, for a board retreat, certainly not here at the board table, but at a board retreat, that might spur some discussion.
Good.
okay, so are we in consensus then that the committee should go back and start working on something like, as we're talking about today, like Oregon? Yes?
and you're going to have it done by March? Is that the goal, to have it, the next evaluation, we'd be using this new method? That's your goal?
Yeah, for in March, that's
March,
the goal.
okay.
And the directors are on board with being included anonymously. And actually, we would all be anonymously from now on. The board also.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you.
On a personal level,
Yes.
although I would like to know how I can improve, so I would like the where you can the bullet, where you can put the bullets, like needs improvement, or some kind of way to let me know how I can do better in certain aspects. How could we incorporate that?
Well, that's what we were just saying, that as a whole, the board as a whole,
As a whole,
we don't work
we can
that
keep
way.
it open-ended, but individually, can we keep it as well? Like, needs improvement in this area, or,
I know exactly what you're saying, and
Yeah.
that's the discussion that we had in our meeting where, because our actions as a board are of a board and not as individuals, as Tim kind of brought up, the board retreat is probably the best venue to say, you know, Jeff, stop interrupting people, or, you know, or Janet, stop forgetting my name, you know, that type of thing. We can discuss in a retreat, but,
Or actually, I think even on the side, outside of a meeting, I think you should feel, maybe there are board members you might feel comfortable enough to personally ask.
okay.
I mean,
I can tell you a way we did it at a previous district, if you're interested in an opinion, and that is that, and a board member wanted that kind of, and it's usually a new board member. At one district I was at, the first 2 years you were a board member, the board president, the superintendent, and the individual board members, if they wanted, would simply just sit down and have a Coke or a cup of coffee and say, you know, and that person wanted some specific feedback, and it was non-threatening.
Sure.
It was very educational, I think, so it's a possibility for you to consider.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that would be nice.
yeah, if you ever want to sit down, we can sit down. All right, thank you. The next item is the key work of school boards discussion. Okay. So everyone was asked just to review Chapter 1 of the key work of school boards, which is vision. And I did talk to Dr. Patz also at the agenda meeting about vision, because it's not just a board function, it's the whole district. And so we thought we would just have an exercise where we would talk about, well, first, you know, we asked you to read our mission and our vision, and I'm not even sure how to start this, Dr. Pads, after what we talked about, because if you read the vision, you know, when you read the chapter on vision, it's not just about a vision statement. The vision is the vision of our whole district, the vision of the board. The whole chapter goes through what you should do to create a vision statement, but we already have a vision statement, so the first idea is, what do you think about our mission and our vision statement? I mean, we might all be happy with our vision statement. The vision statement was created through our strategic plan quite a while ago. And so in front of you, you have a sheet that has the mission and vision statement on it. And actually, if we each took a few minutes to think about how you might want to change it, if you think it needs to be changed, if there's just certain words in there that you might want to bring up for a change, so that we can go around the table and just spur a discussion. Dr. Patz, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the intent was to just have everybody individually take a look, as you said, at what's there, and is there a need for change? Do you want to change? It's an old vision statement, which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that, you know, is it current from what we want to do as you look at a vision statement? And if you look at page 10, it's got some current examples, not that we should take those necessarily. But so the intent of this exercise was to have you read the statement, tear it apart, rewrite one if you like, condense it, eliminate words, add words, whatever you want to do, and then bring that book collectively back to a discussion.
I mean, you know, what I picked up was the vision is not what we want to be, I mean, it's what we want to be, not what we are. It's what we want to be, not what we are. And I think our current vision statement, except for the first sentence, it says that, except I don't know what world-class education, that always bothers me, world-class. But anyway, so if we want to look through, go through this exercise and just,
So you said this was an old vision statement. Was this put together at the board level, I mean, long ago, or was this
No, it
at
was-
the district level?
it was
or-
strategic.
District level.
Planning.
District level, strategic
Go to the
planning.
strategic plan, it was
Yeah,
probably
involve
20 years
community
ago.
members.
Three members, cross-section,
yeah.
maybe like 20 years old.
Part of the intent with this, if you've ever been in an organization that's gone through a vision statement, it's like having your teeth pulled, because it's everybody coming up with all kinds of different things, and it shouldn't be that difficult. Good vision statements sometimes can be 3 words, they could be 1 sentence, they don't have to be paragraphs. So, you should take solace in the fact that it can be anything you want it to be. It needs to be future-focused, to me, is the biggest thing.
Yeah, when I first read over this and refreshed my memory on this, it still seems current, still seems relevant.
I mean,
Nothing in here really screamed that you can tell when something's really dated, and it felt like it needed to be changed. I mean, we could start wordsmithing all kinds of stuff in here, but I felt like it was still current.
I mean, a mission statement, why does our school district exist? Why are we here?
The one thing a vision statement should do, if you take the sheet of paper you have in front of you right now and turn it over so you can't see it, now tell me what it says.
You
Word
said,
for word.
you said the mission statement.
I said the vision.
The vision?
Well, either one
No,
doesn't
I
make any
think it's the
difference.
mission statement. You should be able to,
Either one, it should be something that is recited by anybody in your district. It should be that simple and that understood.
I think I know what our mission is. You've kind of, I think, programmed everyone in the district, Dr. Pats, to kind of align with the college and career readiness. And it's that type of thing, where a mission or vision of where you want to be, you want to educate every student to their highest level possible to ensure that they're college and career ready. Those types of statements, it's simple, easy, lays out our vision as a district pretty straightforwardly. But I agree with Tim. I think a basic statement, mission statement or vision statement like we currently have fits. It's just whether or not it's current. You look at companies go through vision or mission statement changes every year, every 2 years. Should we be, when is college and career readiness going to be outdated and we're going to come up with another saying or motto or mission? I think that type of change should spur a change in the vision or mission statement.
Well, I was online today and I saw one that had the 3 words of inspire, support, and prepare. That was it. That was their vision statement.
What, like the roar?
Well, and we have
Like
inspire personal
respectful. You can
success, right?
remember.
Inspiring personal success as a motto, and I actually like that a lot. But the words on the page as they are now, can you tell the difference between the mission or the vision statement? Probably not. And are 2 sentences needed? Can we just say,
Just seems a
inspiring
little
personal
wordy,
success?
like too much sentence in there.
so do you want to work on it for a couple minutes and then?
Well, I mean, why reinvent the wheel, though? Honestly, to Dr. Patz's point, and to your point, Janet, if a vision statement is supposed to be what we're going for, what we're looking forward to, truly inspiring personal success really truly says it all in 3 words. Because, I understand college and career ready, but think about all of our students in this district. Not all of them are going to go to college, and not all of them will have a career when they are finished with us. Some of those students never will. But if that's their personal success, to maybe live independently or live in a group home or something like that, that is their personal success. And that's what we want for our students. That's what we want for our kids.
You're talking about the mission statement.
I'm talking about the vision statement. Did you not start talking about the vision statement to
Well-
begin with?
Yeah, but if a vision statement is what we want to be, then that inspiring personal success fits the mission statement, but not a vision statement, which I think is,
But don't we
Good.
want to inspire personal success in every child? Isn't that what we want?
That's our mission.
I think to get some benefit from this, the intent of this was to literally ask you to put something down
Yeah.
and read what you've got and start the generation of some new ideas that way. If you come in with the understanding that the vision statement is, quote, "what we want to be," if you just take a look at that and forget about what's here, what would you put down? And when we talked, that was the intent, is to take about 5 minutes to do that and get everybody's thoughts and see, maybe it's the same thing as Tim said, maybe this is ideal. Maybe we want to do something different, eliminate or whatever, but I think we got to put some individual thought into it and get some ideas. That'd be my suggestion.
Well, if we're gonna take this book as the gospel, on page 9, just above the samples, that last sentence, "A vision with anything less than student achievement as a top priority cannot fulfill the public education's core mission." That kind of says it. You have to have student achievement, and that is what we have in there, student achievement and continuous improvement. So the level of achievement is not what we're accepting. We're always looking to improve it. I think we have a great vision statement.
I'll write that down.
I would just like
I
to
couldn't
add
say it
that,
again if my soul depended.
while I don't think our employees could necessarily recite this word for word, I do think that it is something that conveys an expectation. And there's some specific pieces of both the vision and the mission that convey that to the employee in terms of what's expected. So I just want to say that, again, while they can't say this, there's some key things in here about partnerships with family and community and continuous improvement as an expectation that I just personally don't feel could or should ever get lost.
Good point, by the way, Judy, thank you. One technical suggestion would be, if you're saying vision is to be something that we inspire to become, then the word "is," by definition, wouldn't be in there. So if you're looking to change something at some point, that is something that we could. Franklin Public Schools is an exemplary district. Well, you'd want to be something that would be more forward-looking than that phrase, but that would be a very simple tweak. But, you know, but it says what we want it to say. Provide students a world-class education, and I really think the last sentence is just what it needs to be. Like you
On the
said
vision?
before. Huh? On the vision, though. Yeah. That'd be about the only change I could think to come up with on the vision. Like maybe endeavors to provide, but I don't think we wanted to go through a process right now where we're looking at, rewrite this now, right? This is just something to plant the seed and think about it.
Well, we're trying to get a discussion by writing things down.
Franklin Public Schools endeavors to provide students a world-class education. Overall writing now, is that what you're saying?
Everybody need more time, or?
Just 1 minute.
Sure.
The intent was to sort of synthesize everything right here. Just turn them all in, maybe then we can send it back out. Questions to find out if they want to change. Doesn't sound like a couple of them do.
Are we ready to start talking, or more time? Okay, Tim wants to go first.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
With regard to what? Where do you want me to start?
Okay. All right, did you?
Vision? You want me to start with
Yeah,
vision?
you start with vision.
Okay. And you want me to, what, put forth some suggested and changes?
Did you want to change it? Did you want to suggest any changes?
Yeah, I'll throw this one at you. How's that?
You go ahead.
Franklin Public Schools endeavors to provide students, and then the rest is fine. So the only change would be is, although I do like the fact that it says we're an exemplary district, so quite honestly, I wouldn't have a problem changing anything. But you said the vision is something we want to be.
Were you talking mission or vision?
Vision.
Vision.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Vision.
because according to the parameters,
So that would be, that, if you're looking for, that would be my only change.
okay. As far as me with vision, I would strike that whole first line and just start with embracing belief. I don't have much of a problem with our vision. Steve?
I'm gonna pass to everybody else goes.
Al?
I liked it the way it was, but I doodled and added on at the end of it, where you see committed to excellence in student achievement and continuous improvement of the mental, physical, and social aspects of life. I mean, you could, but all you're doing is expanding it there. I like it the way it is.
You like it the way it is? All right, otherwise you're gonna have to email me that. Yeah?
You know, I could agree with just the last sentence, but I just changed it and put Franklin Public Schools strives for student achievement, program excellence, and continuous improvement.
Can you repeat that?
Franklin Public Schools strives for student achievement, program excellence, and continuous improvement.
Debbie?
I'm fine with the way it is.
Okay. Chris?
I'm fine with the way it is. I added one caveat, though, that Franklin Public Schools is an exemplary district that provides students a world-class education, embracing the belief that all children will be college and career ready for the world they inherit, and then left the last line the way it was.
College and career ready.
For the world they will inherit.
But left the last.
Left the last line, so I made it longer.
Oh, you left that in there?
Julie, did you have anything?
I think I'm in agreement with you, Janet, about looking at the first line and.
Striking the first line?
Striking the first
Okay.
line. But I strongly support the keeping of the comment, the belief that all children will learn.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah, a couple things. I guess one, I want to come back to what Dr. Miller said just about some key phrases in there that I think are really important. Continuous improvement, student achievement, belief that all children will learn. I wouldn't want to lose those. I think that's an important part of our vision. The other thing I would say is just, when we craft a vision statement, as we continue to talk about our bigger mission and how we strive to achieve that vision, that the phrasing that's in there, the verbs we're using, really define how we're measuring our progress towards achieving that vision. And so that phrasing becomes important in that if that's what we're saying we believe in and where we're trying to get, that we should be measuring our progress towards that in a systematic way.
Okay. And Judy, you're happy with it, or did you have anything else?
Yeah, we kind of worked together, and I would be comfortable with eliminating the first sentence and just starting with Franklin Public Schools will embrace the belief that all children will learn.
Okay.
And the rest of it remaining. We talked about career and college. We had one paper here, so we worked together.
Okay.
Having that move maybe more into the mission statement. And then just my comment about vision statements, they need to be very powerful, and not to be critical, Mr. Lewis, but to say you're striving for something isn't good enough. It's gotta be, we do this, and that's your vision. It has to be powerful. So, how I view a vision statement.
Jim?
I was fine with it as is.
Okay. Linda?
I like smaller words, so I said, Franklin Public Schools wants to be the best in providing a learning environment for all families and their children to achieve personal success. I wanted families in there, but I wasn't quite sure how to, because I think families are an important element in student success.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Franklin Public Schools wants to be the best in providing a learning environment for all families and their children to achieve personal success.
Minoshki?
I think I will need a little bit more time, but for now, I think, what I have in mind, I see kind of what I would like to see, wish to see that each and every kid in the community reach his or her own personal potential in areas of school life, in all areas of school life, and be the best person they can be.
You need more time?
Receive the
Do
best.
you want to email it to me?
Sure. Get the best education and learning experience, and reach his or her own personal potential in all areas of school life, and become the best person they can be. For now, I think I can kind of feel that way.
Okay. Okay. And then for mission statements, Dr. Pat.
Well, I'm going to be the rebel, because I think the one we have is too wordy and it's outdated. I think we live in a world where we need to talk about, we do talk about inspiring students, motivating, those kinds of things, and that we always talk about how we're going to support our kids to be successful. So mine simply reads, Franklin Public Schools commits to inspiring, supporting, and preparing all students. That's it.
Okay, are there any comments, any more comments on what we heard right now? Because otherwise, we'll try to put all these together for another discussion and see what we come up with at another meeting. So now we'll go on to mission statements. Alan, you want to start? Did you have any comments on the mission statement? That was vision that we did last time.
Right. That's all I worked on.
Okay.
I didn't know we were doing them both.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do we have to have both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mission statement is usually, yeah, they're different things. The mission statement comes after the vision statement. So it's how you're going to, what's that? Mission statement. Why does our school district exist? Why are we here?
The vision's the why and the mission's the what we do. So if you look on
Vision,
page 10,
what,
you'll
vision, what
see-
we want to be. Mission, why does our school district exist? According to this book. Yeah?
Yeah, I like just the simple, inspiring personal success. I think that's aligned with, it's on our business cards. It's aligned with everything publication that we've put out in the past.
And that's currently just our motto, right? So, Dr. Paz, we could just do away with the motto if we went to our,
You can do anything you want.
I think it's simple.
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
good
if you
point.
wanted, to be more wordy, you could do something including partnerships with family and community, something like in active partnerships with family and community. Franklin Public Schools focuses on inspiring personal success, something like that. But I think the simple, inspiring personal success is.
I think if there's one thing that I've heard that many people have related to, it's that particular statement right there more than anything since I've been here, as far as a district slogan or whatever it might be.
Debbie?
Well, I liked inspiring
Yeah,
personal
I know you
success.
said that. Chris?
I would include that, but let's not lose sight, in my opinion, of through the experiences in Franklin Public Schools with active partnership with families and community.
Is mission the what? Yeah, I'm confused. The mission is the what or the why?
There's some samples on page, I was looking at,
One thing you have to do when you're reading these is remember that we could all come up with 5,000 thoughts that should go in here, and you have to remember that whatever you put down generally acknowledges the fact that whatever anybody else would say, it's incorporated into that. You know, so if you say to what Chris just said, okay, is that in here somewhere? Well, the intent is it is. Do we have to say it? Well, maybe you do.
Julie?
I'm not recommending anything different.
Okay.
I think we need to keep the part about family and community, though.
I mean, you could even make it and just add, Franklin Public Schools inspires personal success through learning experiences that focus on student needs and active partnerships with family. You know, something that we incorporate the inspiring personal success, yet maintain the active partnerships with family and community. That would be my suggestion.
Nick?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Lewis. I think something a little bit lengthier that incorporates those pieces is important.
I agree as well, in the inspiring personal success, replacing the other language in that first part of the statement would be a good idea, and then it links to the slogan, which certainly people remember.
I mean,
agree as well.
you could put the motto.
Jim agrees.
The motto.
Yeah, we got split
Kind of
those out.
I think we have to say something about learning.
Yeah.
I think we have to say
Yeah.
about, I think we have to say, I like educate, so,
But that's what I mean
well,
about,
we're public.
what else would it be? We're a school district. The learning comes with, you know, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but, okay, then I want to talk about, 5 other things. So that's why when you go through these exercises, you know, if you've done it before, you could spend 3 days on it and everybody walks out hating each other.
We're not leaving till we get this done.
It wouldn't take 5 days.
Well, I don't know how you can end up really agreeing on anything really long. I mean,
Well, I think the
It's
bottom
just the
line is
key
you have to,
words.
you can't go wrong. You know,
Yeah.
it's just, it's what can you put down on paper that if someone says, what's the vision of your district? You should be able to say it. You know? And but to be honest, there are districts that do not have vision or mission statements. You know, most people do, but there are those that don't.
Linda,
On the mission?
yeah.
I like educates every student. I mean, you can inspire people to do things, but we're here, you know, to provide an education. That's why we have these standards and we have these tests. I mean, I think the public expects us to say educates every student. That word, to me, is what would be important to the public.
You mean that's it?
Well, the rest would be fine.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to change.
Because
the
I hope
gist.
we're educating
I think
every-
educates is a good word.
Panoski?
I might need some more time.
Okay.
Instead of partnership, how about collaboration? Can we use in collaboration? Or, provide the best education to, achieve personal excellence.
Instead of in active partnership, how about together with family and community?
Tim?
I didn't really have a strong opinion on this, because I too think it's fine the way it is. However, incorporating inspires personal success, I could definitely get behind. So to that end, Franklin Public Schools inspires personal success through learning, and then the rest of it's fine, so. But Linda makes a good point about having educating every student in there, but I'd be fine with Franklin Public Schools inspires personal success through learning experiences that focus on student needs and active partnerships with family and community.
Okay.
Fine with that.
Well, if I was going to leave it the same, I would suggest educates, instead of educates every student to his or her, I would say educates all students to their, instead of his or her. But I tried changing the whole thing to saying Franklin Public Schools is dedicated to challenging all students to realize their greatest potential and achieve academic success. But then I missed talking about active partnerships in the community, and then it just gets too long, so. It's difficult because, I mean, I agree a mission statement should be shorter than a vision statement, so you remember it more.
You talk about, I mean, just what you put in there, academic success. I think there's so much more that goes into a high school, or not, it's just the high school experience as they get older, but this is for district-wide. It's
Yeah.
not just an, it's
Yeah.
not just an academic success.
That's true.
It's personal success.
So then, yeah, so to realize their greatest potential, but anyway, so if we're leaving it more as what it is, I mean, I suggest educates all students to their highest level instead of the his or her, because, only because of issues that are coming up with that. Steve?
I am on board with the inspiring personal success. I think that's recognizable through our district. It has been as long as I've been here, and I think both of them are too wordy the way they're at, and I'm glad somebody didn't say lifelong learners. 'Cause that is about as antiquated as we could get, so.
Red apples and
Did you,
lifelong
Alan?
learners.
No.
And I don't mind inspiring personal success at all, but then when I hear Nick and Chris and Judy talk about the partnerships and the learning experiences and things.
I see inspiring personal success. If you're just going to have that, that's a great motto. I don't think it's a mission statement.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll put this together somehow.
Just for the heck of it, Ellen, what would you say to inspire, I think somebody already said this, inspiring personal success through active partnerships with family and community? I think someone said that.
I think someone said Franklin Public School inspire personal success through,
Through
learning
learning
experiences that
experiences, that's a good
focus on student needs and active participant. I wrote that down right away because I liked it. I like what Janet said about educates all students to their highest level of personal excellence. I mean, we've had a lot of good ideas at the table, really. I like most all of them.
Yeah, that's a real big mission statement.
Yeah.
Megan, did you get that all down?
Shorthand.
Okay. Well, it's a start, to start a further discussion. So next month, we'll bring it back again. So thank you. These were handed out to bring back every time for you to take notes on and such, but there's some interesting information in there also from the Boston conference that I went to, so. All right, thank you. Item 10D is the TIF number 5 update. Mr. Milzer.
A TIF is a tax incremental financing district. Sometimes it's called a TID because you put district in there instead of financing. It simply creates an area where the city says this area is not going to grow the way we want it to on its own. We're going to have to put some money into it in infrastructure, and then it will develop and become something that's a lot more worthwhile. So the Ballpark Commons is the TIF that we're talking about. It's basically from the Rock, continuing along Loomis, both north and south of Rawson. Along there, they've proposed a baseball stadium, multi-purpose sports facility inside, restaurants, commercial buildings, retail, and then south of Rawson, townhomes, apartments, possibly a hotel, and some more commercial buildings. The current value of the entire area is about $3 million, and after the TIF is complete, it would be worth about $101 million. So the advantage to all of the taxing bodies is to give up their taxes on the $3 million, or whatever it grows to over a period of time, say 15 to 20 years, to pay off what it took to pay for that infrastructure, and then it all comes back to the taxing bodies, and they can tax it at that higher value. So that's the theories behind it. With this one, it's a little bit different than what we've had in the past because there's actually apartments involved, so we would get some students out of this. Not a lot. I think it's about 60 students if they do the number of apartments that they were looking at. And of course, under revenue limits, we need additional students to keep going. So that would be a good thing for us. Most of the development occurs 2017 through 2020. And then there's an environmental piece out in the future. So the steps to approval are the Plan Commission, which already approved it, the Common Council, which already approved it. It goes to the Joint Review Board, which is the finance officer from each of the taxing jurisdictions like the city, the school district, the county, MMSD, MATC. And really that board's job is to look at it and say, does it answer the questions? Would it occur this way? Would this growth occur without this tax incremental district? And is it worth doing, basically, to put this money into it to get that kind of return back? And that meeting is the 21st, September 21st.
I can't envision south of Rawson where you'd put apartments. Where?
Along
The-
Loomis. The field,
Oh,
the field
okay,
east of Loomis.
along Loomis, yeah, there's
Yeah.
a smoking area there. What kind of apartments are they talking about? More luxury, because you can bring in the wrong kind of people too, if they're,
Higher end.
yeah.
Yeah, they were higher-end apartments, and I think they were looking for nice places for empty nesters as well as people working in the area.
And what's the cost?
What is the
Cost.
city putting into it?
Yeah.
I don't know a number offhand.
I mean,
So it was in like the 23.
20,
it
20 to 30 million.
26, I thought.
Yeah.
26 million. I did listen to the tape of the meeting. I didn't go to the meeting because I heard a rumor that was incorrect. But when the Common Council approved it unanimously the other day, last week, they approved it with two amendments. The first amendment was that they would create a pilot, which is payments in lieu of taxes for the county property. And that the other amendment was a 5-year health study will be done on the property because of the methane gas. So I'm still curious, when you have your joint review meeting, if you could find out about the pilot, how that affects the school district, if we get any of those tax payments, or if it only goes to the city for city services. I don't understand that about the in lieu of taxes.
I'm not sure either, but offhand, I would say the area that's on county land isn't really taxable, so I think they have to pay the in lieu.
Yeah, that's
of-
what that's
for
for,
that.
I understand
Right.
that, but, because right now, they don't pay any, I think I mentioned that to you, they don't pay any police services, fire services. But as far, for a TIF, I'm not quite sure how that pilot works as far as for taxing authorities, you know, so I was curious about that.
Right.
Yeah, would they make those payments while the TIF is in force?
Yeah, that's
Obviously,
that's
they'd be
where
incurring the services.
I'm just not sure if the school district benefits from the pilot, but.
Who's all gonna be at this meeting coming up?
A representative from every taxing body for that property, so the school district, the city, the county, MMSD, METC, all of those that tax that property.
And one citizen, right?
Yeah, one citizen, right,
And you all get one vote.
right.
Is there any budget control on this, the TIF? I mean, are you capping the total amount they could spend?
Right. It caps the total amount, and then the city runs it, and then there's an audit every year, and every one of the taxing jurisdictions get a copy of that.
So there is a not to exceed amount that's included in your approval process?
Right, right. And this is the same process that, well, they have to go through this for a TIF, but it's the same thing for the business park that we went through.
Any other questions?
How are you leaning?
I talked to some of the other representatives at the meeting, and looking through the literature, it looks like it meets the standards. And I don't think that that area would develop without this. And I think Franklin, especially in our school district, needs a shot in the arm of development of some kind. It seems like through city policies or whatever, we've chased development away. And I would like to see that develop, which can bring interest in more things happening. If you see what's happening in Oak Creek right now, where they started that, and it, you know, it couldn't get much bigger than it is. There's some new development, it seems like, you know, every month that they're putting in there. So hopefully this would spur something to start, and it's certainly a good area for it, 76th and Rawson.
What about the vacancies we currently have on 76th and Rawson? A store that's not occupied, and you got other
Yeah. That-
retail.
That tends to happen. I've seen it in other areas because that's not the hot new property anymore. The hot new property is across the street. I've seen it with new developments like Myers, where there's maybe a big store that they could take over and renovate. They refuse to do it. They want to be in a new location and be brand new and have nothing to do with that. So it would be nice to legislate that and say, why don't you put yourself over here? But it doesn't work that way, and especially in this case where the central part of it is a stadium and an indoor venue that then isn't really within walking distance of those stores or retail that would be in there. They want it nice and close so that the people are staying in that area and maybe just walking to them.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. 11, board meeting debriefing. Are there any comments? All right. Item 12, future agenda items. We have a human resources report on September 24th. That'll include the staffing for 2016-17 and the preliminary third Friday count, and the instructional services report on October 28th. And Jeff, you said you're going to leave
Yeah,
the 28th
the
early?
meeting of the 28th, I'm probably only going to be able to attend the first 30 minutes.
Okay.
And then have to leave.
Okay, thank you.
It might be the first 25 minutes.
Okay.
Around that.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Witkowski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:42.